Have you ever felt like no matter how much you accomplish, it still doesn't feel like enough? You work hard, you care deeply about your career, you show up for your responsibilities, and yet a quiet sense of guilt sometimes follows you. For many high-achieving women, that feeling becomes surprisingly familiar, even when things are going well on the surface, even when they are doing their best. Hi, I'm Elena. And today I want to talk about a feeling many ambitious women experience, but rarely discuss openly. The feeling that somehow they should be doing more. More at work, more for their families, more for themselves. This quiet pressure can appear in many different moments. It might appear when you leave work early and wonder if you should have stayed longer. Or when you stay late at work and wonder if you should have been home sooner. It can appear when you take time for your career. And it can appear when you take time for your family, almost as if there is always another expectation waiting, another role you should be fulfilling, another version of yourself you should be living up to. High-achieving women are often very capable people. They are organized, they are driven, and they care deeply about doing things well. Many high-achieving women grow up being praised for responsibility, discipline, and hard work. Over time, this creates a strong internal standard for what doing well is supposed to look like. That standard can be incredibly motivating. It helps women succeed in demanding careers, build meaningful lives, and pursue goals with persistence and dedication. But that same internal standard can quietly transform into something heavier, an internal voice that constantly evaluates whether you are doing enough. Instead of celebrating achievements, the mind immediately moves to the next responsibility, the next task, or the next area where improvement seems necessary. This creates what many psychologists call an internal scoreboard, a mental list of expectations we keep measuring ourselves against. The challenge is that this scoreboard is rarely balanced. It tends to highlight what still needs attention, rather than recognizing everything that is already going well. High-achieving women often carry several important roles at the same time: professional, partner, friend, daughter, and sometimes mother. Each of these roles comes with its own expectations, responsibilities, and emotional investments. Trying to honor all of these roles simultaneously can create the feeling that something important is always being left behind. When you focus on work, you might worry about not being present enough at home. And when you focus on family, you might wonder whether your professional ambitions are being neglected. This constant switching between responsibilities can quietly generate a sense of guilt, even when everything you are doing is reasonable and thoughtful. Part of the reason this happens is because high-achieving women tend to care deeply about the people and commitments in their lives. That caring nature is often a strength. It allows women to build supportive relationships, lead teams with empathy, and contribute meaningfully to their communities. Yet caring deeply also means that disappointments, even small ones, can feel very personal. Missing a family event because of work may feel like a failure, even if the situation was unavoidable. Likewise, declining an opportunity at work to protect personal time can create a feeling that you are not fully living up to your professional potential. Over time, these small moments accumulate into a broader emotional pattern where guilt becomes almost automatic. Instead of recognizing that life requires trade-offs, a mind begins interpreting those trade-offs as personal shortcomings. But the truth is that no one, regardless of talent or dedication, can perform every role perfectly at every moment. Life inevitably involves seasons where one area demands more attention than another. Recognizing these seasons is often healthier than trying to maintain perfect balance at all times. Yet many ambitious women have never been encouraged to think about success in this flexible, evolving way. Instead, they often carry the quiet belief that they must somehow excel everywhere, all the time. Another reason many high-achieving women experience guilt is the powerful cultural idea that it should somehow be possible to do it all. The phrase sounds inspiring at first, but in practice it can create unrealistic expectations that very few people can realistically sustain. Women are often encouraged to pursue ambitious careers, build fulfilling relationships, maintain friendships, care for family members, and also prioritize personal well-being. Individually, each of these goals is meaningful and worthwhile. but attempting to maintain them all at maximum intensity can quietly become exhausting. Instead of recognizing the complexity of modern life, many women interpret that exhaustion as a personal weakness. They may wonder why something that appears manageable for others feels so demanding in their own experience. Part of this perception comes from how success is often presented in the modern world, particularly through carefully curated images and stories. Social media frequently shows the highlight moments of people's lives: professional achievements, family celebrations, personal milestones. What we rarely see are the trade-offs, compromises, and difficult decisions that exist behind those visible moments. When ambitious women compare their everyday reality to someone else's highlights, it can create the illusion that everyone else is managing life more effortlessly. This comparison can quietly intensify feelings of guilt or inadequacy, even when the comparison itself is incomplete or unrealistic. It becomes easy to believe that other people are somehow balancing everything perfectly while you are struggling to keep pace. But the truth is that nearly everyone experiences tension between their responsibilities, priorities, and aspirations. High-achieving women may simply feel that tension more strongly because they care deeply about meeting the expectations they set for themselves. Their careers are not just sources of income. They are also sources of purpose, creativity, and personal pride. Because of this, stepping back from professional momentum, even temporarily, can feel emotionally complex. Women may worry about losing opportunities, falling behind colleagues, or struggling to rebuild the same level of professional influence later. These concerns are understandable, especially in environments where career progression often rewards continuous visibility and productivity. At the same time, women may also feel a deep desire to nurture relationships, build families, and invest in the people who matter most to them. Balancing these powerful motivations can create an internal dialogue that is both thoughtful and emotionally demanding. This dialogue is rarely visible to others, yet it shapes many of the decisions high-achieving women make throughout their lives. And when those decisions involve difficult trade-offs, guilt can sometimes appear, even when the decision itself was thoughtful and reasonable. At this point, it may be helpful to pause and ask an important question. What if guilt is not always a sign that something is wrong? Sometimes guilt appears simply because we care deeply about the people, responsibilities, and values that shape our lives. When you care about your work, your family, your relationships, and your future, it is natural to feel tension when those priorities compete for attention. In that sense, guilt can be a reflection of commitment rather than a sign of failure. The challenge is that many high-achieving women interpret guilt as proof that they are falling short. Instead of recognizing their dedication, they see the feeling as evidence that they should somehow be doing more. Over time, this interpretation can create a cycle where self-criticism replaces self-understanding. Even moments of rest or personal care can begin to feel undeserved. Yet rest, reflection, and personal space are not luxuries. They are essential parts of maintaining long-term well-being. Without these moments of pause, even the most capable people eventually begin to feel overwhelmed. Another helpful perspective is to recognize that life rarely moves in perfect balance. There are seasons when professional responsibilities demand more of your time and energy, and there are seasons when relationships, family, or personal growth naturally take priority. Trying to give every area of life equal attention at all times can create unnecessary pressure. Instead, many people find greater peace by accepting that priorities shift throughout different stages of life. What matters most is making thoughtful choices that reflect your values in each moment. When decisions are made thoughtfully, they deserve understanding rather than harsh judgment. High-achieving women often extend compassion and encouragement to others, yet they sometimes struggle to offer the same kindness to themselves. Learning to replace constant self-evaluation with reflection can be a powerful step toward reducing unnecessary guilt. Reflection allows us to acknowledge our intentions, recognize our efforts, and learn from our experiences without harsh criticism. It creates space to appreciate how much care and dedication already exist in the way we live our lives. And when we begin to view ourselves with that same understanding, the weight of constant guilt often begins to soften. Because doing your best and a complex life is not a failure. It is simply part of being human. As we reflect on this topic, it becomes clear that the guilt many high-achieving women experience does not come from weakness or failure. More often, it comes from caring deeply about living a meaningful life and wanting to honor the many responsibilities that come with it. Caring about work, relationships, personal growth, and future possibilities naturally creates moments of tension between competing priorities. Caring about work, relationships, personal growth, and future possibilities naturally creates moments of tension between competing priorities. And when those priorities cannot all be fulfilled perfectly at the same time, the mind may interpret that tension as guilt. But perhaps the goal should not be eliminating guilt completely. Instead, the goal might be learning how to respond to that feeling with greater understanding and perspective. Rather than asking, why am I not doing enough? We might ask a more compassionate question. What am I trying to care for in this moment? And what thoughtful choice can I make right now? This shift in perspective can transform guilt from a heavy burden into a signal that something meaningful matters to us. And when we respond with reflection rather than criticism, we begin to create a healthier relationship with our own expectations. High-achieving women often hold themselves to extraordinary standards. Those standards can inspire remarkable accomplishments and meaningful contributions to the world. Yet those same standards deserve to be balanced with patience, flexibility, and self-understanding. Because life rarely unfolds in perfectly planned steps. Careers evolve, relationships deepen, priorities change, and unexpected opportunities appear along the way. Learning to navigate those changes thoughtfully is often more valuable than trying to control every outcome. When we recognize this, guilt begins to lose some of its power. It becomes less of a judgment and more of an invitation to reflect on what truly matters. For many ambitious women, that reflection becomes a guiding force for building a life that feels both purposeful and fulfilling. A life where professional ambition and personal meaning are not enemies, but different parts of the same journey. So if you have ever felt guilty despite doing your best, remember that you are not alone in that experience. Many capable and thoughtful women quietly navigate the same feelings while building meaningful careers and lives. If this reflection resonated with you, I would truly love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Because ambition can build a career, but reflection builds a life.